Is the hip-hop industry cursed? Is it just a coincidence, or is there a darker reality at play? Today, we'll look at the tragic stories of 7 rappers who were on top of their careers, only to have their lives end in shocking ways. These are not just stories of death, but of dreams, success, and the darker side of fame. All these stories share one common thread. Each rapper gave an interview on Vlad TV, a platform known for its hard-hitting and controversial questions. Let's start with Rich Homie Quan was once on top of the rap game. Hits like Type of Way and Flex had him rising fast, but his personal struggles were never far behind. In a vulnerable moment during his Vlad TV interview, Quan openly spoke about his life, his experiences, and his past in the streets of Atlanta. While this honesty gained him respect, it also gave his enemies a clear view of his vulnerabilities. The very openness that made him relatable became his downfall. His personal battles were exposed for all to see, and this vulnerability led to dangerous consequences, culminating in a tragic end. Quan's story is a grim reminder that in the world of hip-hop, exposing your inner struggles can sometimes invite a deadly response. Rich Homie Quan's story is a cautionary tale of how fame, vulnerability, and the streets can collide. But Quan isn't the only one who paid a heavy price for sharing his truth. Let's take a look at FBG Duck, another rapper whose raw honesty about his environment led to a deadly outcome. FBG Duck was known for his raw and unfiltered portrayal of life in Chicago, a city infamous for its gang violence. In his Vlad TV interview, Duck spoke about the harsh realities of his hometown and the constant danger he faced. But this openness became a double-edged sword. His enemies now had all the information they needed, and it wasn't long before he became a target. The very stories that resonated with his fans and showed his bravery were the same details that put a target on his back. FBG Duck's tragic end proved that sometimes, the more real you get, the more vulnerable you become. FBG Duck's story brings us to another rapper whose vulnerability cost him dearly, Mo3, whose raw and emotional music made him a voice for the unheard. But in the world of hip-hop, vulnerability can be a dangerous thing. Mo3's music was known for being deeply personal, often reflecting the struggles of his life. In his Vlad TV interview, Mo3 opened up about his battles in the streets, exposing his vulnerabilities. However, this also gave his enemies the insight they needed to target him. What was once seen as a sign of strength, being real and honest, ultimately led to his downfall. Mo3's tragic death reminds us that when you lay your darkest moments bare for the world to see, it can sometimes lead to fatal consequences. Mo3's story is yet another example of how openness in the world of hip-hop can lead to tragic results. But Mo3 isn't the only one. Draco the Ruler also shared his struggles with the world, only for it to end in violence. Draco the Ruler was known for his unique sound and the personal stories he told through his music. In his Vlad TV interview, he spoke about his life, his experiences with gang tensions, and the difficulties of navigating the streets. His decision to open up seemed like a way to express his truth, but in the hip-hop world, sharing your story can come at a heavy price. His personal details became ammunition for his enemies, and soon after, he was tragically taken from us. Draco's story serves as a painful reminder that sharing your struggles publicly can sometimes put a target on your back, turning your truth into a dangerous weapon. Draco's shocking death is just another example of how the truth can sometimes lead to tragedy. Now, let's move on to Takeoff, a rapper whose death shocked the world, despite his peaceful nature. Takeoff was known for his calm and composed demeanor, both on and off the stage. As a member of Migos, he had carved out a unique place for himself in the rap game. Takeoff's music was never overtly aggressive, and he was often seen as the more grounded member of the group. But in 2022, the unthinkable happened. Takeoff was shot and killed in a tragic incident. His death left the hip-hop world stunned, as it seemed like the last thing someone like Takeoff would have to face. His story reminds us that even the most peaceful artists in the industry aren't immune to the dangers lurking in the shadows. Takeoff's unexpected death left us all reeling. His life seemed far removed from the violence that often plagues the rap industry, but it also shows how even the most unlikely of victims can fall prey. Let's now look at Chinx Drugz, whose vulnerability and honesty about his city ultimately led to his tragic end. Chinx Drugz was known for his music that painted a picture of the streets he came from. His Vlad TV interview was a pivotal moment where he spoke candidly about his struggles and experiences. But exposing his vulnerabilities to the public opened the door for enemies to target him. Soon after, Chinx's life was tragically cut short. His murder was a painful reminder that when you share your darkest secrets with the world, the very things you think are safe can become your undoing. His story highlights the harsh reality that the streets often take those who try to expose their truth. Chinx Drugz' death is another tragic reminder of the consequences of opening up. Now let's talk about Ide 600, another rising star whose life was claimed in the same way. Ide 600 was a rising star in the drill scene, known for his music that spoke to the violent realities of Chicago's streets. In his interview, he shared personal details about his life, giving a raw and unfiltered glimpse into his world. But this transparency came with a high price. His enemies used the information he shared to track him down, and he was tragically killed as a result. Ede's story proves that in the world of hip-hop, your openness can sometimes lead to your downfall. He was a young artist with so much promise, but the streets didn't give him a chance to fulfill his potential. Ede's story is yet another tragic tale in the hip-hop world. These stories are more than just tragic deaths. They are a window into the lives of artists who were trying to live their dreams, but ultimately paid the ultimate price for their honesty. The interviews on Vlad TV, often filled with tough and controversial questions, exposed their vulnerabilities in ways that made them targets. Each artist had their own unique journey, but the one thing they all shared was the cost of being real in a world that isn't always kind to the truth. So, these were the 7 rappers whose honesty and vulnerability ultimately led to their tragic end. Which story impacted you the most? Let me know your favorite in the comments, and if you liked this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.
I don't wanna talk about these pictures, 'cause they remind me